This was my worst deal ever by far. Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Graylan Stewart. I am an entrepreneur, real estate investor, and we wholesale properties nationwide. So if you're new to my channel is mostly about wholesaling real estate, but just investing in general in real estate. So today's video, I'm going to tell you about my worst deal ever. So what you'll learn from my channel is I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, all the ways that you can make a ton of money, all the ways that you can lose money, and everything in between. So I don't sugarcoat anything. I just tell you real life stories about my journey, what we practice every day in my business, and the good and the bad of it all. So anyway, let's get into it. So my worst deal ever, as you know, if you've watched my channel at all, I love mobile homes. But most investors out there, they won't buy a mobile home if it's in a park. They typically will buy mobile homes on land, which, I get that. That makes sense. But at the same time, I can get mobile homes in parks for next to nothing. Typically, a couple of $1,000s can buy a mobile home in different areas. So I own 8 or 9 mobile homes right now, and they all have typically made me a ton of money. So I do like them. What I end up doing is I'll buy them for a couple thousand, put $3,000 or $4,000 into it, and then I'll sell it on rent to own. Where I'll get a down payment down from an end buyer, which is a tenant buyer, because they are technically a tenant and a buyer. And then I'll end up getting, rent over 15 years is typically what I do. I actually do owner finance, which means that I create a note. I have a promissory note and a mortgage on the property to where they pay off the property over 15 years is typically what I do, at a certain interest rate. So that's kind of how I handle my mobile homes. But so my worst deal ever is actually a mobile home. It's kind of funny because my best deal ever, which I've never really gone into in great depth, I've mentioned it briefly in some videos that I've done, but my best deal ever is a mobile home, but also my worst deal ever is a mobile home. So let me tell you a little bit about the backstory. So I got this property. I believe this was a radio lead, if I'm not mistaken. We got this property under contract in December of 2020. So, this was the whole Corona year. So towards the end of the year, I had this newer acquisition manager. He had been with me probably since September of 2020. So, just a few months or so. So it was still a handful of one of his first deals, and we love mobile homes. So it was a no-brainer for us. The only bad part is you got to do some of your research a little bit when you're getting into mobile home investing. So here's the negatives in mobile home investing, in parks at least. One of the biggest negatives is you have lot rent. So once you buy the property, it's up to you to keep up with that that lot rent, but the lawn maintenance that goes along with that, the utilities, while you're remodeling it, and the remodeling itself. But then on top of that, you got to find a tenant buyer if you want to do rent to own strategy. But before all of that, the first thing you should do is actually contact the park itself, because every park operates differently. Like 6 of my properties are in one particular area, and I've done 6 deals there now, and I kind of know how they operate and the do's and don'ts of the whole community and that kind of thing. But first and foremost, some neighborhoods, some mobile home parks won't even allow anyone to live there unless it's owner occupied. So there is a workaround though, because rent to own is owner occupied. I could own a property in a mobile home and sell that to a tenant buyer. So that buyer technically would own the property. So they're the ones that's living there, even though I still hold the actual deed to the property, because I don't deed the property until it's completely paid off. So that's a workaround for that. But also, the manager of the apartment complex, or not apartment, but the mobile home complex can make or break your deal. Even if they do allow, leasing, renting, rent to owns, even if they allow any of that, they still can make or break your deal. So the property that I have 6 houses in, 6 mobile homes in. It's actually 3 different parks, but 6 mobile homes within those 3 parks. It's owned all by the same kind of group. But anyway, the manager of that place was amazing. She was super easy to work with. That's one of the downfalls of mobile home investing in a park is they have to typically pass the background checks of that park, which is not a huge deal if you have a good relationship with the park manager. So, for example, the place I have 6 in, all I have to do is send somebody over there, say, hey, they want to apply for my place. They're not really applying through them. They're just doing a background check. So all they have to have is their social security number and their name, and a copy of their ID. And then they do a background check, and they usually can get that back to me within 15 to 30 minutes, usually the same day, no matter what. But anyways, so this worst deal ever that I'm talking about is a mobile home. We contracted it in December of 2020. So I believe we ended up closing on it by the end of the year. So I bought it myself, obviously. We got that deal for $5,500. And that's one of my rules of thumb on a side note. Typically, I won't buy a mobile home in a park for more than $5,000. This one was a little bit higher than that, but it was close. So I went ahead and bought it, $5,500. And then what we ended up doing was remodeling the property, which took longer than it should have. I think we didn't finish till late March. So January, February, March on a mobile home should never take that long. And also another pro tip, which I knew better at the time, but I was kind of in a pinch. I just wanted to get this deal done so I can get someone in there. So what I did was I used my normal contractor on the mobile home itself, which is a no-no. You just don't do that. They cost too much for one. Because my normal contractor that I use for flipping houses, they charge more because they have good work, and they're worth it. However, on mobile homes, I typically find a local handyman that can kind of remodel it and just do some patch-up work. Because keep in mind, when you're doing mobile homes, you just want to make them safe, clean, and affordable. That's my goal. Those 3 things: safe, clean, and affordable. Nothing else. So I don't over-improve it at all. I barely improve it. To be honest, in most cases, you just don't want holes in the wall, so we'll patch those up. And sheetrock in a mobile home is different from sheetrock on a flip house or on any house because they're a little different. They're made because they are mobile to where you can actually hook that up and move it down the road if you wanted to. Because of that, they make sheetrock a little differently. So all the parts in a mobile home are typically cheaper than normal parts in a house. Even a bathtub, if you switch that out, it's a lot cheaper bathtub typically in a mobile home. And you literally just unscrew some screws underneath kind of the little, I don't even know what you call it. There's little pieces that go over the corners. There's typically screws in there. You can literally take that tub out and screw another one in place. But anyways, mobile homes, so what I'm trying to get at is mobile homes are way cheaper to remodel typically, okay? But that's why I always use just a handyman. And usually there's a couple of handymen running around mobile home parks anyway, because either the park employs them on occasion or full-time even, or they've done other work for the people that work on these mobile homes in these parks. So usually I try to find a handyman because they're way cheaper, and usually they're more knowledgeable even for these mobile homes in general. So typically I don't ever want to spend more than $3,000 to $5,000 remodeling a mobile home. So that was my mistake right there. So my mistake number 1 was I didn't check with the mobile home park first to see how easy it would be to get a tenant buyer in there. Okay, so this deal is really bad because it's really like pulling teeth to even get a background check done when I send somebody over there. And for number 2, these people never ever answer their phones. I'm usually able to get the cell phone number of a mobile home park manager, but this one is like high and mighty, and they think that that's special information that they're not going to give to anyone. I get it why they wouldn't give it to a regular tenant, but I'm an investor in the park trying to improve their park and help them out too, so it makes no sense why they wouldn't give me their cell phone number. But I get it, whatever. But so they're making it really hard to even get a hold of them, number 1. Number 2 is it's almost impossible to get somebody in there to actually get the background check done. I've sent people over there and they just never get it done. When they do, they send it back to me 4, 5, 6 days later after I ask for it many times. So the reason this deal makes the top of my list for worst deals ever is because we bought it in December of 2020. We remodeled it over a 3-month period, so it was ready to go like end of March. We started marketing the property to tenant buyers on Facebook Marketplace. We got tons of response. A lot of people wanted it. However, time is of the essence when people need to move. So when I'd send somebody into the park manager to fill out their form, they'd never get back with them, never get back with me. So long story short, these buyers were ended up finding other places because they needed to move. In most cases, they needed to move quickly. On top of that, over time, now the manager is saying, hey, did you know this is happening at your property? We need you to replace all the skirting because we don't like the way it looks. So then you're at the mercy of the park. So I ended up replacing the skirting that didn't even need replaced, in my opinion. It was a little dirty. One little piece was missing that we could have just patched. But they made me replace the entire thing. So anyways, I think I'm into this property now. So now this is October of 2021. So I've had this property close to a year now. So December will be a year. So I've been paying lot rent for all this time. I've been paying utilities for all this time. I've been paying lawn maintenance for all this time. And I'm still sending buyers over there to try to get, accepted through the park. This last one, about 2 weeks ago, I finally got someone accepted, because they denied him at first for background. And they made a mistake, and it was actually, they were denied for credit because they had something on their credit a long, long time ago, which in my case, that doesn't even apply. They're supposed to be doing background only. I approved them through credit. Anyways, long story short, I got them approved. Then the stinking seller ghosted us on closing day. And when I called them from a different phone number, because they weren't answering the normal calls. So I called them from a different number, and they ended up saying, no, they don't want it, and hung up on us for whatever reason. Everything was really good to go. So that's just the thing, too. The clientele's a little bit different on these type of deals. But anyways, so now I've held this property for 10 months now. I've spent about $27,000 between the purchase, the holding costs, and the remodel on top of, just time and energy I've spent over this last 10 months just trying to get someone in there. So that makes it my worst deal ever by far. It's not even close. Like, this game of investing is not always as pretty as people try to make it sound to be. Because I've spent a little bit over $27,000 at this point, all out of my pocket, and over time, it's a big headache. My wife hates the property. She's like, that's why you don't need to buy mobile homes. But at the same time, I've made close to $200,000 on one mobile home before that I was all in for $5,000. So, at the end of the day, it's still worth it. I don't regret it at all. I definitely need someone in there. So if you know anyone in Oklahoma City, that's where this property is, that needs a property to where they need to own it. I'm giving people option to have, affordable living. That's the thing about this deal. You just got to be a little more flexible as a buyer, the tenant buyer, just because, if you need to move somewhere probably in a week, it's probably not going to happen because the park is slow on getting back. But if somebody has a month and they start today and I approve them today, I can get them in there, in a month. But that's the downfall of it. So, my wife really wants me to sell the thing and just cut my losses on it. I definitely can't sell it for what I have into it. I can definitely sell it on rent to own for $40,000, and I'll do, a couple thousand down even. And I've got probably 50 people that have wanted to do that. But the hard part is just getting them into the property because it's got to go through this process through the park. So that's the downfall. So there's my pro tip, if you will, on if you do mobile home investing in parks, definitely research the park thoroughly before you even buy the property. Because knowing what I know today in this park itself, I would never have done this deal at all. Even though it sounded good, it was a cheap property, and honestly, I should have been able to remodel this thing for $3,000 or $4,000. And I think my remodel ended up costing me closer to $8,000, maybe even $9,000. I don't remember exactly, but it was way too much. It was at least double, if not triple, more than what I should have spent. So, anyways, there you have it. I tell you the real things in this business on my channel. So it's not all the great things like look at this big check. It's not always about that. I'm definitely losing money on this deal, but in the long run, I am confident. I'm going to find someone. This week. I'm going to run some ads on Facebook itself to get somebody in there. I'm going to probably get my transaction coordinator or my dispo manager, maybe both of them, to help me just to place somebody in this place. I'm going to find somebody this next week to actually get into that property, and so we can stop the bleeding, because all I need is somebody in there. If I can get $1,500 down, and it's about $1,000 a month, and about $550 of that is lot rent and water, because the water is included. So all they have is an electric bill because there's no gas. So that's a good opportunity for someone to have affordable living, that's something that they can call their own, that they actually own. And then I'm just the bank at that point. So yes, I'll get my money back. It's going to take a little longer. But if you think about it, even if I get somebody in there at $40,000 and 12% interest over a 15-year term, I'm going to make a lot more than that $27,000 over time. But just the cash on cash return is what's killing me, and it's okay. I don't need the cash. I'm not strapped for it. But at the same time, I don't want to keep wasting money either. So I just got to get somebody in there to start making payments, and I'll cash flow a good $400 a month, $400 to $500, somewhere in that ballpark. So I'll make my money over time. But as of now, it's definitely by far my worst deal ever. So I just keep moving. We just keep doing other deals, and it won't stop me. I'll still make money on this property over time, but that's part of this game. You win some, you lose some, and I don't even consider this losing. It's just losing at the moment. So anyways, hopefully you found this content valuable. If you did, please smash the thumbs up button. I'd appreciate that. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. I'd appreciate that as well. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.